It's a great question. I'm not sure that I can come up with an answer for you. I mean, we're really on the pointy end now. We're pushing out at a rapid rate, and we're probably going to see significant increases, even if we fixed it all now. So even if we just removed our power problems, we would still have a. We would still.
You get the impression that not long from now, people are going to get you don't hear the climate change deniers as much anymore. There's going to be a time where people are going to look at like a series of climate disasters, and they're going to say, okay, we need to do something about it. And then the fear is, will it be too late at that point? But if they get the perception that it's too late already, what's the incentive to do anything about it? You know what I mean? I think it's...
Well, I mean, it comes down to mitigating the risk. I mean, there's a point where if you manage to control it to some extent, it's going to help. No matter what you do to take it off your top end, it is going to contribute to solving the problem. Now, whether you can stop what's already underway, well, that's difficult to do. But at least then you've got something that's an upper bound. You're not going to get into the worst case scenarios. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen to the climate system. It's not individual events we're talking about, but we're talking about the likelihood of those really bad events. I mean, for instance, Sandy's not more likely under a warm climate, recent research has shown, because the storms are less likely to actually track west like Sandy did and produce the large storm surge that caused so much of the damage. But increasing energy in the atmosphere is likely to lead to things like tropical cyclones getting stronger, potentially stronger thunderstorms. Maybe they're less frequent, but they're much more intense when they do occur.
Doctor, you just said temperatures will go up or are going up 6 degrees. So are you saying actually this summer coming up, or explain that to me a little bit, okay, so I fully understand.
That's the projection out to 2100. Okay, so we're talking a long time around.
Okay.
It's using the high-end prediction pathway, which is from the IPCC, so the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. I think it's 8.5 watts per square metre results in a temperature increase of around about that. Don't quote me on that.
I don't think he is. Yeah.
Sorry, could you?
No, the temperature you said is going to go up 6 degrees, and I'm trying to.
So that's to the mean. So that doesn't actually tell you what's going to happen at the extremes. So when you shift the mean of a distribution,
wow,
you can see that mean shifts up, and that's when you get higher extremes. You always get extremes. I mean, there's always extremes. I mean,
so it can go up higher. It can go up even higher.
Yeah.
You touched on one of the other arguments that we're hearing from a lot of critics of climate change or trying to do something about it. When you talked about China, China is increasing its greenhouse gas emissions, and a lot of people say, well, why should the United States do anything or take draconian measures on our end if the Chinese or other countries aren't going to be doing it on their end? Is there enough of an impact if just the United States takes action by itself?
Most certainly.
Really?
I mean, surprisingly, per capita, I think Australia is one of the worst countries for greenhouse gas emissions. Small population, well off, a lot of greenhouse gas emissions.
You guys cause a lot of trouble down there.
But as a fraction of the actual contribution, it's relatively small. It looks bad on paper when you're looking at per capita numbers, but when you're actually looking at contribution, it's relatively small.
So you don't have to have everybody, every nation in the world abiding by new standards?
No, you don't have to have everyone abiding. Every bit helps. And I mean, the thing is that China, India, places like that are undergoing fairly rapid development, okay? Things we saw back in the Industrial Revolution. Now they are, maybe they're getting to the point where they can start innovating with new technologies. I mean, while China's building all these coal power plants, they're also building a huge number of renewable energy sources as well. A lot of wind power.
We're in the optics business, and I know what's happening out west. And it's not going to only be this random seasonal problem, this shortage of water, where you're going to have states fighting with each other over who gets water. Water now. People are going to get that to a certain degree. What they do about it, I don't know. But it comes to this question, and it risks sounding stupid, but can science solve this problem for us, maybe? I mean, we talk about, for example, water. Can we have desalinators that they'll advance to a degree that'll solve the problem, that we can truck it in from the oceans at major levels? Is there a delusional hope, or is it a realistic one, that as science evolves so fast in so many different ways that we can solve some of our problem of climate in spite of ourselves because of advances in science?
I think there's a couple of problems existing there. One is you need the research funding, and I mean the problem is that anytime anyone's looking for some money to cut, research is often one of the first things to go. So actually having the resources to do the research helps with that innovation, and making sure that new ideas are being put into that as well. Not just the old hats in the sciences, the people in the new parts of the science getting the chance to build in these new ideas, throw in things that are helping with that. The second part of the question.
Yeah, science, just fiction. Is there? I know research helps here, but are we close to any breakthroughs that could really make?
Well, the problem with desalination is that you're putting in a hell of a lot of power to do it, and the other problem is when you're doing it, for instance, with coal-fired power plants. Coal-fired power plants use water in their processes, so hence you're making water to use water to.
Is there any good news you can leave us with? Is any optimistic?
He's got a spaceship. He's going out there. Yeah.
Well, Sandy-like storms are less likely, and potentially snowfall next year will be lower. It seems like, coincidentally, that snowfall the year after.
I'm reaching for something here. Anyway, though, honestly, yeah, very helpful, and I think some of the challenge we have is, because of the subject matter, it's daunting and a little scary to the general public. It's hard to put their arms around it, but I think it's going to be the issue of our generation here. And I think some way, somehow, we always solve problems. Politicians are going to have to find the political courage, unfortunately on a global level, which makes it even that harder to address the new reality here. But Dr. Allen, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Rich.
Okay, up next. Today, the president was talking to Democrats today, which are in many ways as much of a challenge for him as Republicans in an election year. And pretty soon, he'll be talking to Pope Francis. We're going to tell you why this is all connected in an election year. Stay with us.